Today we're going to be looking at the midpoint formula, and basically it just finds the point in the middle of a line segment. And the formula for it is if you have 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2, you add the x coordinates and divide by 2, and you add the y coordinates and divide by 2. And basically in words, essentially what you're doing here is just finding the average of these 2 points. So what's the middle between x1 and x2? This is just an average right here. And same thing with y1 and y2. You add them up, divide by 2, and then you just put them into, parentheses, comma in between. That's all it is for the midpoint. It's not that bad. So with this one, let's look at the x coordinates here and find the middle. We're finding the midpoint of these. So we have -3 and 1. Well, let's see. -3 plus 1 divided by 2. Well, -3 plus 1 is -2. Divided by 2 is -1. Great. And for the y coordinates, we have -3 and 2. So we do -3 plus 2 divided by 2. Remember, you're always dividing by 2 because you're finding an average of 2 numbers. So the denominator in this is always going to be 2 no matter what. So we have -1 over 2, which is -1/2, or -0.5, whatever way you want to write it. And then the last step is just make that a point. So parentheses, comma, and then your answer is -1, -1/2. That's the midpoint between -3, -3, and 1, 2. Okay, now these questions are a little bit trickier. So you're finding the end point. And what they do, they give you the midpoint, m, and they give you the coordinates of one of the endpoints. You have to figure out where's the other endpoint. So first off, let's graph these 2 points. So here we have A and M graphed, and remember, M is the midpoint from A to B. So basically, B is going to be right here. That's where B is going to be, because what you want to do, you look at it and you think, how do I get from A to M? Well, I got to go to the right 2 and down 2. That gets you to the middle. But to get to the other end, you have to do that one more time. So you go to the right 2, down 2. So your answer, B, should be right here at -1, -5. You can also do this using the coordinates without a graph too. And if you look at it, so essentially think of it this way. You start from A, and then you go to M, and then from M you have to do the same thing to go to B. So essentially what you want to do is you think to yourself, how do I get these coordinates? So how do I get from -5 to -3? Well, from -5 to -3, you add 2. And then from -1 to -3, you subtract 2. So you do the same thing to the x and the y coordinates again. So you just add 2 and subtract 2. And you get -1, -5, just like we saw before.